The National Assembly is facing widespread condemnation after passing a law to regulate lottery activities across all Nigerian states, despite a Supreme Court ruling that reserves such powers exclusively for state government. Recall that the November 2024 judgment declared the National Lottery Act of 2005 unconstitutional, emphasizing that only State House of Assembly, not the federal legislature, have authority over lotteries except within the Federal Capital Territory. In a statement issued by the Coalition for Good Governance, comprising over 80 organizations led by Comrade Nelson Ekujumi, the group urged the National Assembly to halt the bill's progression, highlighting that the Supreme Court's decision are binding on all branches of government under the Nigerian Constitution. They further stressed that any attempts by the legislature to enforce the new law without first amending the Constitution is unlawful and poses a serious threat to Nigeria's democratic stability.
Our interest in the matter at hand was provoked by the realization that the institutions of states, saddled with the honorable responsibility of lawmaking for the good governance of the society, must not be allowed to deviate and degenerate from the lofty height of upholding the rule of law to a condemnable one of law-breaking, irresponsibility, incitement, and undermining national peace and security.
Hence warned that ignoring the court's ruling could provoke legal battles with state government and erode public trust in democratic institutions.
The Supreme Court, being the apex court of the land, possesses by virtue of Section 6, subsection 6b, 235 and 287 of the Constitution, the exclusive final authority to interpret the Constitution and the laws in Nigeria as it affects the rights and obligations of persons and authorities. Therefore, once the Supreme Court has made a decision on the subject, particularly under the Constitution of Nigeria, it becomes final and binding on all persons and authorities in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, including the executive and the legislature. Consequently, as of today, the National Assembly can only legislate on lottery, gaming, and gambling for the Federal Capital Territory. Therefore, if the Supreme Court, which is the apex court in the land, adjudicate on an issue of dispute between the federal government and state governments, its judgment automatically becomes a law.
However, the group reveals that they expect the Senate to consider the bill next as pressure continues to mount on lawmakers to respect constitutional limits and uphold the rule of law. They caution that continued defiance of the Supreme Court could lead to institutional conflict and a constitutional crisis, challenging Nigeria's federal system and democratic governance.
Our demands: an immediate stop to this illegal and unconstitutional voyage of legislative rascality and lawlessness by the Senate. 2. An unreserved apology to the people of Nigeria by the House of Representatives for the assault on legislative integrity, honor, the Constitution, our democracy, and national security by the irresponsible and unconstitutional passage of the vexatious and illegal bill. It will be an aberration and an act of lawlessness and illegality for the Senate to attempt on its own to rewrite a law without passing through the legislative procedure. And that is why we have come here today to sound a note of warning that the Senate should retrace its step from the illegal and unconstitutional routes that the House of Representatives has taken, so that the Senate will not be accused of being partners in crime against the Constitution.
Miriam Oke, LAUDABLETV.